Hey, House of Professor Reviews here, and, well, why don't we get started in reviewing this? I already reviewed the A9 Tim Burton Batman movie earlier this year as a request, and now the same person's got it back, and he wants me to review Batman Returns, the sequel to the A9 film. And, well, considering that Michael Keaton is due to return as Batman in next year's DCEU movie, The Flash, which I am excited for. I mean, really enjoy the Flashpoint Paradox story, so excited to see that come into the big screen. But let's get started. Let's review Batman Returns. Now, when this came out, this was a very controversial movie, just because of how dark it is. I mean, the original A9 movie was dark, but it was still, had enough for people to say, oh, my kids can watch it, it's alright. This one, on the other hand, has a lot of very creepy and disturbing elements, and that many parents refuse to even let their kids buy the toys. There was even they even protested to have the Happy Meal toys made for this movie taken down, which ended up happening. Because of this led Warner Brothers to fire Tim Burton and change and bring in a more lighter direction for the Batman movies, which of course led to Joel Schumacher coming in and creating Batman Forever and later Batman and Robin, which we all know how that went. But over the years, this movie has really started to gain more of a following, and people seem to enjoy it a lot more now, and eased up a bit on it, though they do admit it is a lot darker than usual. And now that Warner Brothers has come out and said this is, in terms of that original film, Batman film series, this is the last one that canonically happened. Now Forever and Batman and Robin are now their own separate universe. Okay, which I think makes sense. I mean, Forever and Batman and Robin are very divided films. So why not give a go of it? So yeah, but are the complaints still warranted? Well, yeah. I mean, it is still darker than the original, but there are other problems in it. All right, let's move on with this. So Batman has returned, played once again by Michael Keaton, as a new threat in Gotham has emerged, known as the Penguin, played by Danny DeVito. The Penguin, otherwise known as Oswald Cobblepot, is an orphan baby who was abandoned by his parents because he was born deformed and has been living in an Arctic zoo in the sewers of an Arctic zoo with a horde of penguins, and has ended up recruiting a bit of loyal followers. He abducts a wealthy businessman called Max Schreck, played by Christopher Walken, and in exchange for letting Walken go, he helps Cobblepot find out the truth about his family. As the Penguin begins to gain more popularity within the community due to his sympathetic story, Max Schreck plans to exploit this by having Penguin run for mayor to give him full creative control of the city, and Penguin can sort of get a bit of revenge on the city and in certain ways of the city and people, orphans and kids, I don't know, who may have treated him wrong. So Batman must figure out what this whole plan is with the Penguin, due to his suspicious nature. But he also has some other, another vigilante in the streets of Gotham City known as Catwoman, played by Michelle Pfeiffer, who is sort of Lena Kyle, who was Max Schreck's working for Max Schreck's company, but Schreck tried to kill her by pushing her off a roof. She was revived by the power of cats, and now wants revenge for killing Schreck, and teams up with the Penguin in order to not only kill Schreck, because Penguin's a bit of a backstabber, but also in exchange for the Penguin to get Batman. So let me start with this and say that I think you can basically tell that the plot isn't as strong and cohesive as the original, which is a major issue. I mean, the original A9 Batman movie is more straightforward with the plot, and you can follow it pretty easily. This, you have to think. I mean, you can understand basically the backstories and motivation and a few of the events that take place in this film, but it's hard to canonically place them in a cohesive story, which isn't as you can still manage it with good writing. Which, to be fair, this movie has a good script. But let's go over the plot, the pros. And in many ways, what does help us is the cast. I mean, majority of the cast, I should say. The returning actors are all good. Keaton's still great as Batman. Pat Hingle as Commissioner Gordon and Michael Gow as Alfred. They do a good job, as always. But of course, the standouts are these. Danny DeVito as the Penguin and Michelle Pfeiffer as Catwoman. I really love their portrayals in this film. They're sympathetic villains who have very tragic backstories, and in a way you do feel sorry for them. I mean, it's not like really when you look at Jack Nicholson's Joker, I mean, he hasn't really got much of a backstory besides him being the one who killed Bruce Wayne's parents. So in a way, he's just a plain villain. With these guys, with Catwoman and Penguin, you understand what happened to them in the past. In fact, you actually see it on screen, so you sympathize with them. But of course, they still do very terrible things, or things you don't agree with, which makes them not really good people to view. But in a way, the performances of DeVito and Pfeiffer also help out. I mean, Pfeiffer's portrayal is one many people consider to be the best scene in this movie, which I can see why, though I actually argue DeVito is the standout. And at the very least, we didn't get an awful spin-off Penguin movie, much like we did with Catwoman, with Halle Berry playing her. Oh, I do not want to bring that up. Okay, I haven't seen it the whole way through, but I guess, And what also helps in this is actually the way it's shot. I like it a lot. I think it's shot a lot better. The camera, way it's shot with the camera, and all that, is a lot better than the original. I like the camera angles a lot more in this. I like how the action is presented at certain moments. The sets of this film are also pretty good. I really do like it. Tim Burton always has that unique design of his films, and it shines here. I really do enjoy it. In many ways, I can like a lot of things in it, but there are problems with it, of course. As I said, the plot isn't really as strong as the first film. And, and what also doesn't help with the plot is also the motivations of these characters. I mean, okay, Batman is basically trying to save the day, which, not much more, though he is trying to develop a relationship with Selina Kyle without, giving up what he knows, and especially when he finds out that Selina is Catwoman. And Catwoman's motivation is basically the same, trying to get revenge on Shrek. But Penguin's motivations originally is just, of course, he's trying to find out what happened to his family, to who his parents were, and he wants to run for mayor. And then after the whole plan gets exposed with him wanting to take over the city, he wants to kill every infant as revenge and all that, and he still wants to kill Batman and that. And then there's the Max Shrek character, and his whole thing about taking over the city, and when Penguin gets found out, he turns against him. He was the one who pressured him to run for the city. The motivations aren't really as strong as in the first movie. I guess in certain moments it does go a little too dark, especially in many ways the bittersweet ending with this, which can rub people the wrong way. I don't mind it. I honestly don't mind it. But I do know people who probably don't like, which I can understand. But above all, the one thing I do not like in this movie is Christopher Walken as Max Shrek, who was an original character created for this movie, which I guess has been referenced in other Batman materials since this, but boy is he pointless in this. You really didn't need to have had any character like him in it. I mean, he's basically the only person in Gotham City who could rival Bruce Wayne in terms of his wealth and all that. but you know, he is basically in many ways considered the main villain of this, considering his actions influence Penguin and Catwoman to go in their own ways. But boy, is he such a weak character and villain. I'm sorry. I mean, Walken portrays him performs the character well enough, but he is completely pointless. You don't need him. He is just a filler character in a story that doesn't need anyone like him. And in many ways, I would have liked, and things. Maybe he wasn't in it. Maybe things could have ended up differently if Catwoman and Penguin. I mean, but okay, probably Penguin's going to end up. Their plans would probably fail, but just saying, things could have been better. That he'd been written out, even then, if he wasn't even a thing. So yeah, that's I can't. I just don't like Christopher Walken in this. I just don't think he's needed. So yeah. So in many ways, I think if you're wondering, I probably don't like this movie as much. Well, actually, so my score for the '89 Batman movie earlier this year was 8.5 out of 10 hat stars. My score for this, 8.5 out of 10 hat stars. Yeah, I'm giving it the same score. In fact, honestly, even though I do see a lot more problems in this, I actually like Batman Returns more than the original film. I know. And you're probably wondering why. Well, as much as certain things, with the exception of Christopher Walken, being Christopher Walken's character, I don't mind as much of these things. I don't mind as much of the problems as I may discuss or talk about. I mean, in many ways, I don't mind how dark certain things get. I don't mind it. It's serviceable. It's not gory, with the exception of maybe Penguin bleeding at the end of the climax. The bittersweet ending, yes, it's bittersweet, but there is sort of a bit of happiness in it when it comes to Catwoman. And optimism, even though it doesn't really get referenced in Forever and Batman and Robin because of the change in direction. But and other things, motivations, I can still understand it. And in terms of visually, I can understand what's going on in everything. So it's not like I'm getting surprised and just having a hard time to follow, even though I probably am. I kind of like it for what it is more than I like the original film. In many ways, this is a guilty pleasure, even though I do know a lot of people who really do like this movie. It's a strange case that in many ways I can see a ton of problems in it, but I don't care. I like what I get. So, yeah, I mean, whether this is this is probably not my biggest guilty pleasure movie I've ever seen. There are movies I know that people absolutely don't like, but I seem to like a lot more, which is something I will one day do, discuss these films in detail. But I really enjoy Batman Returns more than I do the '89 film. This isn't the best Batman movie, far from it. Mask of the Phantasm and The Dark Knight are the best in my opinion. But I still enjoy watching this every now and then. It's a fun movie, and overall, and I think it's probably maybe there is a reason why it took me forever to watch the original '89 movie. I just kind of like this more, in many ways because and I think also because of the fact that Penguin and Catwoman are my favorite Batman villains compared to even more than Joker is, So yeah. I enjoy Batman Returns more than I enjoy the '89 film. I hope you can understand. It's just, even though I gave it the same score and I have a lot of issues with it, it's just the way I feel. I just feel that way. And you can't fault people for having their own opinions on everything. Yeah, that's basically saying what I've said many times on this channel, in my videos. So with that said, what's next? Well, I might I'm thinking of either continuing on a bit with movie or reviews, or maybe doing something else. Maybe some sort of prediction video. But I do think I need to head back to video games for something in the near future. And well, Warner Brothers basically related, and I think you can guess what it is. I just want to first wait and see when two certain characters get released. Then I will consider writing something for doing a review of it for what it is at the moment. But we'll have to wait and see. But basically, at the moment, it's just, anything can happen. So in the meantime, this is Hassa from Hassa Reviews out, and I shall see you for my next video. Ciao!